Hello, and welcome to our Sustainable Foodware Ordinance Workshop. I am Brennan Brown with the City of Albany. One of my focuses with the city is on economic development, and I'm here with Sutton Payne and Michelle Klaus, the Sustainability Division for the city. And the reason we are here doing this workshop today is to provide information because the city is creating a foodware ordinance, and we want to go over programs as well as provide information, answer questions that for the businesses specifically. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sutton to provide information again to the businesses. And if anyone has any questions, you can enter it in the chat, and we'll go over those at the end of the presentation. Thank you,
Great.
Sutton.
Thanks, Brendan. Yeah, a quick introduction for myself. My name is Sutton Payne. I'm the Civic Spark Fellow for the City of Albany. My work focuses on the Sustainability Division and enacting our climate policy goals, which a large portion of that has contributed to this Sustainable Foodware Ordinance development. We're going to dive into a presentation that goes over what the proposed ordinance would look like, some of the support mechanisms the city hopes to enact, some of the challenges and outreach we've been doing, and hopefully be able to provide some clarity on that. Great. I will go ahead and share my screen. Can view it? Yes. Great. Awesome. Let's get started here. To begin with, just a quick background on what we're trying to address here with the ordinance. Plastic pollution and single-use plastic disposables is one of the main targets of a sustainable foodware ordinance. In Albany in particular, the city recorded 1,600 tons of landfill of plastic, making up a decent amount of that. And in looking at larger regional studies of our trash components and understanding what's contributing to this, we understand that plastic use from foodware is playing a large part in this. So we really want to move away from that in order to reduce our trash and reduce our carbon emissions. We're going to now dive into a bit of background on the different types of foodware. There's a lot of confusion that is out there for restaurants and for consumers, and that's something that we hope to provide clarity on throughout this process. So to begin with, land use disposables or any single-use plastic item that's going to contribute to that landfill. So it's common with plastic utensils, as you can see there, or takeout boxes or containers or plastic cups. Other types of foodware include compostable plastics or PLA-lined materials. This is a main challenge that the city is facing and the larger region is facing because only certain composting facilities with higher temperatures and moist conditions can turn this eco-plastic into a usable compost. So it's often misleading because it's not accepted in the Albany collection facilities. So we really want to move away from the PLA-lined materials and the compostable plastics to this version of compostability, which is fiber-based or natural packaging. It's produced with reusable, renewable, or biodegradable material, and it is 100% compostable within Albany. So getting through that confusion, I think, is the first obstacle that we've been facing. We've done a bunch of research in order to think about the best ways to provide this outreach. Speaking of outreach, one of our first steps was talking to the actual businesses to see what they were using at the moment, what the main obstacles were for converting to a more sustainable foodware option, and just working with them to see what works best. We conducted a foodware survey and asked about some of these similar questions. Product cost was one of the main things that businesses talked about. Often eco-friendly products raise the price because of production costs and other values. So that's something that we were hearing about decently. Education on actually what is an eco-friendly product and what's getting composted, as well as concerns over product inferiority or product feasibility for holding their specific food item was some of the other feedback we were getting. plastic made up the largest percentage of foodware for businesses for takeout, which we weren't shocked by, but that's something that we're really trying to tackle with this ordinance. The second part of our outreach component has been a pilot program where we've been promoting reusables and promoting the sustainable fiberware I was mentioning before. We've worked with Kim's Cafe and Sandwiches and Tay Talk Cafe. Some of the general feedbacks and lessons we've gotten from these partnerships. There's positive feedback from customers on fiberware. They like that it's eco-friendly, it's easily compostable. There's a clear message with using the fiberware that they can just take it home and compost it, and there's no complexities there. One of the other options or takeaways we've been getting is fiberware has become more commercially available and at a competing price with traditional plastics, whereas in the past it's difficult to decipher. And then in talking with Tay Talk Cafe and working with Rethink Disposable, which I'll dive into a bit later, the reusable transition appeared to be pretty feasible for businesses. There's a range of costs that it could entail, but the transition, the upfront cost, does not seem to be insurmountable. It's something that they will pay to buy the reusables and then effectively earn back pretty quickly in their cost savings from not buying disposables. We'll talk about that a little bit later, though. One of the other backgrounds I wanted to touch on was current and upcoming policy that pertains to foodware and waste. This ordinance, we're hoping to get ahead of the game in terms of what's being required. We're hoping to support businesses in making this transition that they're already going to have to be making and that they're already going to be feeling the effects of today. So California Assembly Bill 1276, it prohibits using single-use foodware accessories or condiment packaging. So that's something that we want to help businesses comply with. SB 1383 is a massive organic waste reduction act. So that's something that our Foodware Ordinance will help us comply with as well. And then SB 1335 is something that's gone into effect that has stricter requirements for reusable, recyclable, and compostable foodware packaging. So that's more related. And then the larger bill that's coming up is SB 54, which is going to have some requirements along the way before 2032. But it's really shifting that responsibility from the consumer to the producer of the plastic or of the trash. So we really want to help support businesses to meet these demands. With that background, let's discuss briefly what the proposed ordinance outline is and what it's going to be looking like. Given this research and our collaboration efforts and our outreach, we feel pretty confident in some form of requirement, as well as some form of education enforcement in the ordinance. And looking at dine-in, the goal is to get to 100% dine-in reusables. That's something that we feel confident that businesses can comply with. That includes foodware containers and utensils. They would still be able to use disposable items for foodware accessories, as well as they're made of the fiberware as discussed prior. And then condiments must be offered in reusable packaging or dispensers, as to not to use the single-use ketchup packets or mayo packets as discussed before. And then talking about the takeout foodware requirement, we really want to focus on promoting the fiberware or natural fiber or any items that are composed entirely of glass or aluminum. There is also going to be a list of exempt products that don't meet these specific requirements, or it's not feasible for businesses. So that's something we hope to work with restaurants in developing. But we know it's not going to be totally possible for everyone. For example, one of the main challenges we focused on is with liquids or with hot soups. The fiberware technically it doesn't have a great reaction to it, and it breaks down a little bit with that. So we want to have those exemptions in place until a product is available that can work for businesses' needs. And then lastly, accessories by request and a cup charge. Accessory items shall have to be requested by the customer. This is something where we hope that it makes sense, and customers who don't need utensils if they're taking it back home wouldn't be given those unnecessarily. And then a 25-cent cups charge with the income being retained by the food vendor is also something we've done a decent amount of research on and will be talked about later. The last aspect of the proposed ordinance that I want to touch upon is the ordinance timeline. The ordinance will not be enforced for 12 months after approval. This is to give time for businesses to comply, to make their transition, to empty their current inventory. This is what we've seen with a bunch of other regional ordinances, giving 12 to 18 months for businesses to actually comply before any enforcement mechanisms are put in place. There's also going to be hardship exemptions available if a business is in a place where they are disadvantaged for some reason or facing economic hardship. We're going to have some waivers where they can work with the city to be exempt or have lesser fines. And then compliance may be enforced via fines. We don't have specific numbers on this yet, but the staff wants to emphasize that this is going to be an education and support forward focus. During those 12 months, we hope to do ample outreach and education to get businesses to the point where they feel confident in complying. There's also a ton of financial incentives from regional entities out there that we want to point businesses towards, and I'll touch upon that a little later. Looking at some of the research that we've done that informed the proposed ordinance, reusables versus disposables in a cost analysis appears to be a no-brainer for dining in. When restaurants transition to reusables, they see a return of profit from the initial investment in a couple of months, sometimes less, and always within a year. And there's these large savings that are on the table for them for not having to purchase the same disposables that they have in the past. Generally, we've also found that the switch can be made without increasing washing capacity and also taking into account the cost for additional labor. This is a case study conducted by Rethink Disposable, and it takes into account the upfront cost that House of Dim Sum had to pay in order to transition to reusables, and exemplifies the savings that they made on the single-use disposable utensils. And then this also exemplifies the accessories upon request component of our ordinance, seeing that businesses can make or can experience high savings from that aspect of the ordinance. Looking at compostable fiberware, I think there is a common misconception with the more eco-friendly items that they're more expensive. The reason for this being that the PLA line materials or the compostable plastic tends to disrupt this conversation. Those materials are generally more expensive, 20 to 30%, than traditional plastic. However, natural fiberware, the stuff that we want to be promoting, actually offers comparable prices and is in some cases even cheaper. So that will also give businesses a lot of breathing room in making this transition. There's going to be more products becoming available, so the city hopes to keep conducting research and pointing businesses in the area of more sustainable foodware. And there's various discounts and funding available to be purchasing this as well. Continuing to look at the cost analysis here for compostable foodware, looking at a study that the City of Arcadia done, there's even cost savings that are associated with purchasing fiberware compared to other non-compliant options, even plastic. So I think that's some encouraging data to see. Looking at the disposal cup charge, that's something that we've gone back and forth on and had to do a lot of research and outreach to understand what we wanted to put in place. Understanding that this ordinance and its development is going to be very education forward. It's also important to have some kind of enforcement mechanism. And our research has shown that people are more likely to change their behavior based on a smaller charge as compared to a higher incentive. And then in looking at several case studies, disposable cup charges prove to divert waste, which is our end goal, which is really important. There's also a high support on the business side of things for the cup charge when the business itself keeps the charged allotment. So I think that's an important thing to consider, that we're not going to be harming these businesses or placing any type of financial burden on them with this charge. Moving away from the data for a second, as mentioned before, a large component of this is going to be a massive outreach and education campaign. We hope to launch the Albany Sustainable Foodware Program, which will be a living website page dedicated to all kinds of definitions, summaries of ordinance development and key terms, as well as a city updated purchasing guide, implementation tips and guides, outreach materials, education materials, basically the end all for any businesses or customers that are looking for education. We really want to have this be the focal point of pushing out education for businesses. We hope to also enact some kind of reusable support or reward program that gives businesses some kind of reward for committing to reusable to go or reusable promotion in general. So that's kind of one of the first components of support that we're looking at. The next aspect of support for businesses that we have kind of discovered is Rethink Disposable. It is a stop waste. It is a part of the Clean Water Act. And this will be giving businesses financial assistance to make the transition to reusables easier. So this was the organization that helped us assist Tay-Taw Cafe with purchasing their reusables. And they do have funding available for the City of Albany. So we hope to point businesses in the direction of Rethink for that. And then there's also reusable to go programs, which are systems that allow businesses to use reusables, have customers take them home with them, and then return them at either the same location or other partnering locations to be washed. There's various incentives available for this, and it will help reduce waste for to-go coffee mugs or to-go containers, and some are even compatible with delivery apps, which is really encouraging. And then we listed a couple of the incentives here with Deliver Zero, Foodware, and Okapi reusables. There's several stop waste grants that are working with these companies in order to reduce waste. So that's kind of the other direction we want to go with supporting. Lastly here, these are some of the last considerations and questions that staff's working on and that we're going to continue to work on. A phase-in approach, that's already something we've been considering for a while, and it's going to be a component of enforcement with the 12-month timeline. But there may be other components of phasing in certain fines or certain aspects of the ordinance, and just wanted to make that clear to businesses that it's not going to be thrown on them all at once. Product exemption list. As I mentioned prior, this is something that we're going to be updating frequently so that businesses understand what they need to buy and what they need to replace. And staff is welcome to hearing suggestions and working with businesses on what should be on this list. Lastly, restaurant support and education. If there's any specific education materials or outreach materials that businesses would like or questions answered, we really want to make this a back and forth conversation, and that can be communicated to city staff. I have Brennan's email listed here, but we're going to be building out the Sustainable Foodware program more, and so there should be contacts for that in the future. That wraps up our presentation for now. Thank you very much for your time. I think we may jump over to questions. I'll pass it to you, Brennan.
Great. Thank you so much, Sutton, and really appreciate it. I just wanted to kind of point out that Sutton did a lot of work into creating this these programs and doing all of this research. So just want to give you all the credit for all the work that you've done in this process. I do have one question, which is Could you provide some specific examples of other cities in the Bay Area that have adopted these types of ordinances and just go over the list real quick for us?
Definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
So there's variance in the specifics of other cities' ordinances, but just to list a couple, the city of Alameda, the city of Berkeley, have all tried to push fiberware-based ordinances. There's some differences in their acceptance of PLA or the compostable plastics because of different compost haulers. But several other cities have already enacted sustainable foodware policies, including San Francisco and Oakland. And all of them have followed basically the same structure. There's a stop waste template ordinance, which is really helpful, which all of those cities have used, which follows the dine-in reusable requirement, then the sustainable foodware takeout requirement, accessories, and cup charge kind of flow. So for the city of Albany, we were basically following that structure and then looking at other ordinances that were specifically fiber-based. The county of Marin offered a great template as well that's been adopted by several of their cities.
Right. And then just to summarize your presentation, there is our state ordinances that are coming that the city of Albany wants to be prepared for. And then also these changes, we're trying to work with businesses to make sure that they can make this transition in a way that is provides cost savings. And one of the points that you mentioned, I just wanted to kind of emphasize was the like sort of the biodegradable plastics. Those are the ones that are more expensive, but they're also not something that are compostable in our area. Correct.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the problem that a lot of businesses have communicated to us that they're purchasing these what they think are more environmentally friendly products and often paying a higher price. So the communication and clarity on this is something we want to emphasize and be able to help restaurants out with. So yeah, hopefully we can be buying more sustainable foodware and saving money at the same time.
Great. Thank you so much. And with that, I think we'll conclude this presentation.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.